Good morning, everyone. On a typical day, I like to start with a cup of black coffee. For me, I like to add some collagen peptides protein powder to my coffee, just to sneak a little bit of extra nutrients into my breakfast. For me, I think it's the most important to keep your breakfast the healthiest meal of the day, because that way, your later meals, you don't need to be as strict with your diet. And just like that, I turned a black cup of coffee into a cup of coffee with 18 grams of protein in it. So I'm getting my collagen peptides in my coffee. Here I have a probiotic vitamin. This helps with gut health and digestive health. And I have 2 immune support vitamins. This has got an array of vitamins and minerals inside. Vitamin C, ginger, vitamin D, zinc, lots of things. Turmeric. Lots of things that I probably won't be getting throughout the day in my regular diet. So I'm going to supplement them here so I don't need to worry about deficiencies later on. And last but certainly not least, I have krill oil. This is like a more effective version of fish oil. Being that I'm very active on a daily basis, I try and have some fish oil to lube up my joints, get me working well throughout the day. In the morning, I like to have a big breakfast full of healthy carbs, healthy fats, and lots of protein. One staple for me is a bagel, because this is more of a complex carbohydrate, but it's still bread, it's still tasty. I can put my eggs on it and enjoy it. I cut it just like that. Nice and easy, don't have to worry about slicing my hand open. And then I'm gonna throw this in the toaster here. And then we're gonna start making some eggs.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat these now.
In your typical egg, you're getting healthy fats and protein. But it's kind of a even split between the two. I would say eggs are known to be higher in cholesterol, but they're also known to be healthy. So what does it mean to be a healthy fat? So a healthy fat is an unsaturated fat. Saturated fats are things like butter, coconut oil, things that are solid at room temperature. Unsaturated fat is a liquid at room temperature. So the yolk of an egg contains unsaturated fats, which are pretty good for you. And you need them in your diet. So I'm gonna start every day with at least 1 egg. For me personally, I like to add egg whites to my eggs to get them a little more rich in protein. Set me up for success for the rest of the day. Because I'm adding this extra egg white, I like to mix it together and scramble my eggs. So that way the yolk is incorporated into all of the eggs. So here we have a typical breakfast for me. I've got a plain bagel here with eggs, with egg whites in it. Sometimes I'll pair this with like a lean protein like deli ham or turkey or something like that. I don't have that today, but this is what you could expect from me on a typical day. I'm also going to the gym later, so I'm gonna double up on my carbs. I have a second bagel here. This is cinnamon raisin bagel. And it acts as like a little sweet treat. But here, the key thing, it looks like a lot of food, but it's actually lower in calories than, let's say, if you were to eat a typical muffin, it would equal the entire amount of calories that I have on this plate. So one small muffin from like Dunkin' Donuts would be just as many calories as this whole plate of food, and as an estimate. And the reason for that has to do with what I was talking about before, which is saturated fats. So here, a bagel is made, it's baked, and it's boiled in water, right? There's never a need to add like unnecessary oils or butter to make the bagel. So that's why the bagel is insanely low in fat, and it's higher in protein actually, because they're making it with flour and water, and it's a very normalized process. They're not baking like a cake, as opposed to like, well, that's why I mentioned with a muffin. Whereas someone would say, well, I had it as a light breakfast, right? I had a small breakfast and all they ate was 1 muffin. But in that 1 muffin, they're still getting all the calories that they don't need, lots of saturated fats, lots of unnecessary carbohydrates that they're probably not going to use throughout the day, and they're not getting any protein, which one way to think about it is on a typical day, you need to eat a certain amount of carbs that's relevant to the amount of activity that you're doing, and you want to have a certain amount of protein that's relevant to the amount of activity that you're doing to help you recover from that activity. But then the fats are a fixed amount. You only have to eat so many fats on a typical day to regulate your hormones. So with all that said, all I'm saying is, in the mornings, I like to start with a breakfast that's high in carbs and protein, but clean carbs and protein without lots of saturated fats. So that way I can eat my fats later on in the day, because everyone needs to eat those saturated, unsaturated fats, whatever it is, but you only have a fixed amount. So what's the real question is, would you rather have a muffin in the morning or a cheeseburger at night? But that can apply to just about any food. And that's the way I like to look at it. A common misconception is that sugar is bad for you. Sugar inherently is not bad. It's all dependent on the person and the activity level. So for me, since I'm going to have an active day today, I want to eat some more sugar in the morning and get me ready to go. Here I have some strawberry jam. I'm going to add it right to this bagel. Right? Because sugar is only bad if it goes unused. And bad is also subjective, because we only say sugar is bad because it turns to glucose in your body, which is your body's energy source. But if you don't use all the glucose in your body, glucose turns to fat. And that's why people think sugar is bad, because if you consume too much sugar and you don't use it, then yes, it will become fat. But inherently, your body needs glucose and needs sugar to run. Your brain needs sugar to operate. You can't think without it. So it's all about balance and thinking about throughout the day, if you had a bucket, right, and you had to fill that bucket throughout the day, and you only had a finite amount of each thing to put in that bucket, you had to put a certain amount of shells, certain amount of rocks, certain amount of water in that bucket, right? You have to think about, when do you want to put each of those things in the bucket, right? Do you want to put all your sugar in the bucket in the morning and wait till the end of the day to have all your protein? Or vice versa, do you want to, eat a smaller breakfast and wait till the end of the day to eat a bunch? But a key thing to remember is that you need to eat breakfast. And I am a big advocate for breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And it's because your body doesn't start running, your metabolism doesn't start running until you first eat something. So you can't expect your body to be burning calories throughout the day if you don't jumpstart it in the morning by giving it some calories to burn. So that's a cool way to look at it. And like I was saying, you can keep a clean breakfast and still have something that you'll enjoy. Like here, I'm adding this jam to the bagel. This is only adding more sugar. It's not adding, like I was talking about before, those fats. I'm not adding any unsaturated or saturated fats when I add jam. I'm just giving myself a little boost to get me through this workout I'm about to have to endure. Here's another typical breakfast for me. Still including the eggs and the egg whites as previous. But here we also have oatmeal. I have a piece of pretzel challah bread. As you can see, the certain things remain consistent. That would be eggs every morning with a clean source of carbohydrates. Focusing on getting those extra proteins in with the egg whites and adding protein powders to things like oatmeal. A little bit of 1% low-fat milk to 1 serving oatmeal with the collagen peptides protein powder, 20 grams of protein per serving. So here's another typical breakfast for me. I have 2 air-fried hash browns, my egg with the egg whites, and I have a small bowl of oatmeal here with a little bit of the collagen peptides protein powder. Essentially, you don't have to eat the same exact thing every day, but when you have certain staples like the eggs in your diet, you're setting yourself up for success, getting in a high protein, relatively healthy breakfast every morning. It's always important to give yourself a special treat every once in a while. I think once a week on the weekend, going out to the diner to get a tasty breakfast is a great option in the mornings. Join me next time to lift some weights.